Right, so for today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation involving a TikToker who was talking about their experience at a bar, and more specifically, their bad experience with a bartender. This has resulted in a bunch of response videos, a response video from the bartender herself, and in fact, the vast majority of the people, as we'll see, are actually on the side of the bartender, which then resulted in a statement from the TikToker who posted the original video. But let's start from the beginning. So there's a few people you need to be aware of here. The first one being McKenna Rhines. In this situation, McKenna is the customer who makes the original video. The bar she's calling out is Haters & Co. in Denver, Colorado, and the bartender, who we'll see a video from later, is Kat. So now let's go to the original video. So this video has actually been deleted, and the video we're about to watch is from re-uploads, multiple re-uploads that I've kind of pieced together. So unfortunately, we don't get to see the actual full original video in its entirety, but we do have a minute of it here where McKenna is talking about her experience. She starts off pretty strong and says that she's had the worst experience at a bar recently, tells people not to go there.
Worst experience I've ever received by any service staff member in my entire life, and that's coming from somebody who works in the restaurant industry. Haters in company or something. It's haters here in Denver. Don't ever go there. So I'm standing, I'm waiting, I'm standing. I kid you not, 10 minutes goes by, literally 10 minutes, because they have a Toast. Toast is a POS system. I know because I work in a restaurant.
Okay, so we can kind of see where this is going, right? She's at a bar on Halloween night, by the way, which I think is pretty important to know here. So the bar's really busy, and she's waiting for a drink, and she ends up waiting about 10 minutes. 10 minutes before she says something, I think in the end she ends up waiting about 15 minutes, she says. And that seems to be the main reason why this situation kind of started, because she was waiting quite a while for a drink. Now, as we'll see in the response videos, a lot of bartenders have actually responded to McKenna's video, and the majority of them are basically saying like 10 minutes on Halloween night at a bar is maybe a bit of time, but it's not enough time to kind of cause a big commotion, you know? As McKenna's video carries on, she's saying like she's waiting, she keeps like asking like when is she going to be served. In the end, she's told that she's not going to be served.
Anyways, I say, excuse me, she turns around and says, I'm working my way down the line. And then I wait and I wait, and then I say, finally again, I go, excuse me, I've been waiting. And then she goes, I'm not, she turns around and she goes, I'm not serving you. And I say, are you fucking serious? And mind you, she's wearing a bald cap and a sweatshirt. I'm dressed up cute. I decided to dress up as Tinkerbell. And so I think she already had some like mean girl energy. If you're another woman, you get it. Like she was just mad at me to be mad at me. Who knows?
Yeah, so that bit specifically in this video is something that a lot of people have a problem with, because as you just heard, McKenna brings up the fact that the bartender's wearing a ball cap. It's Halloween. The costume we later find out is that she was dressed up as like her boss. Now, as we just heard, McKenna is saying that the bartender was mad at her for what she believes to be jealousy, I guess, because she was like dressed up cute and then the bartender was wearing a bald cap, which I've got to say to me seems very silly, because like the bartender chose the costume that she was wearing, so I don't see why she would be pissed off about that. And it just seems to be a bit of like an unnecessary dig in the whole situation. I feel like that's not the reason why this happened. I mean, like I said, we will actually see a video from the bartender a little bit later on who does have a slightly different story than what we're hearing here.
Who knows? I'm so frustrated that I was like, fuck you. I did say that, I'm not gonna lie. And so then I get up and I walk around to go to a different side of the bar. She follows me, goes over to that bartender, whispers in his ear, and he turns around and just goes, I'm not serving you, leave.
Okay, so that's the video, right? She's waiting a while for a drink. She keeps asking, like, when am I going to be served? In the end, she's told she's not going to be served. She then responds to the bartender, says, fuck you. She then goes to a different bar, trying to get served there, to which the bartender goes over to the other bartender, kind of explains the situation. Turns out she's not going to be served from anybody and she has to leave. Now, just to show you the infamous bald cap in question, this is actually a picture of the bartender Kat right here, and this was the bald cap she was wearing. Again, I feel like it was kind of unnecessary to mention. I don't feel like it adds anything to the story, really, but obviously, I guess that's why McKenna thought the situation happened. Now, after McKenna posts this video, it results in a lot of backlash, like in the comment section that we can't read anymore because the original video has been deleted, but also in a bunch of response videos from like other TikTokers. Like, for example, a video here from Hell Queen Cocktails, who was actually a bartender. In this video, she basically starts off by saying like 10 minutes isn't really a long time to wait for a drink on Halloween when it's so busy.
I mean, it's Halloween on a Friday. I don't know that I would get upset over 10 minutes. I work at a pretty high volume bar. Granted, we do like 75% shaken and stirred cocktails. I just don't feel like that's long enough to get that upset about.
She then goes on to respond to like the bald cap part of the video.
Any woman who, for Halloween, especially working as a bartender, who wears a bald cap and a sweatshirt, I don't think she's worried about a little Tinkerbell, okay?
And then ends the video by saying McKenna's reaction was a bit intense, and then also says that she should know better since she is a service worker herself and she works in a restaurant.
You know, 10 minutes at the end, she says 15, Halloween night on a Friday night. it's a little intense of a reaction, you kind of waving and saying, excuse me, multiple times. She knows you're there. She knows you need you. She told you she's working her way down the line. And honestly, like, as service workers, we should be more empathetic and forgiving of other people who are working, because we know what it's like, right? Just because you weren't working, we know what it's like to be on Halloween. So kind of being this like, well, she already looked like she was miserable. Yeah, working on Halloween can be fucking miserable sometimes.
Now, another video response we have here is also from someone working as a bartender. The username is It's Only Natalie. And in Natalie's video, she is just very confused why McKenna kind of had this reaction, and kind of mentions the fact that McKenna also works in a restaurant, so she should know.
You're telling me you went to a bar in Denver, Colorado on a Friday, on Halloween. You had to wait 10 to 15 minutes for your second drink, and you're complaining about it? You're so mad that you came to TikTok and made a whole video saying, don't go there, don't go there. And the worst part is you keep repeating about how you work in the restaurant industry. Like, you're familiar with this. You know how this goes. Well, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should get a different profession and also go find some patients.
But now let's get to the response from the bartender, Kat, who kind of just gives her side of the story here, but also in the caption of this video, it does say, like, God forbid I have RBF. Anyway, sorry for calling you old, hater. She calls her boss old in the video. Thank you, good night, and goodbye. But then also says, I also have the security footage with timestamps. So I don't know if that's actually going to get posted at any point, because like I said, the stories differ slightly. And there's certain things that Kat says McKenna said in the situation that McKenna is denying.
Hey guys, it's your favorite bald mean girl bartender from Haters. I just want to address the allegations. I'm living for this. Well, I made notes. I'm not a good public speaker. I'm awkward. This was my section Friday night. I'll just get right into it. Yeah, so we just moved down the line, you know. That's how a bar works. I was helping the customers in this little corner divot area. Said Tinkerbell was sitting here. She yells, excuse me, I need a gin and tonic. I said, okay, I go down the line. She said, I've been waiting for 20 minutes. She's like, no, you don't. No, you haven't been. I clear my bar about every 5 minutes. Like, I know what I'm doing.
Okay, so straight away, that's a different view of the story, right? Because obviously we heard McKenna saying that she's waiting for 10 minutes, in the end 15 minutes, to which Kat's just saying isn't true. She clears the bar every 5 minutes. So from that, I'm gathering that she was only waiting there for a maximum of 5 minutes. Kat carries on to explain kind of how the conversation went, says that McKenna missed part out of her story, and then in the end, she demanded to speak to a manager.
I don't skip people. I barely even look up at people because we're 10 deep at the bar and I'm just making drinks. Like, so sorry I don't have a personality when we are getting absolutely railed. Yeah, look at my notes. Oh, yes, okay. So, yes, I say, you haven't been waiting that long. She said, fuck you. She forgot that part in her video. She called me. So naturally what any other bartender would do.
Yes, I'm probably gonna have to mute what she said there because of YouTube, but she said the C word. So apparently McKenna says, fuck you, C word. Which again is obviously something that McKenna didn't mention in her video, but does actually address it in her newest response and basically denies it.
I told my coworkers not to serve her because why would you? It's just rude. She went up to the upstairs bar, went up to our bar back up there and demanded a manager. He said, we are literally so busy right now. No. She said, fuck you to him. Oh yes, I'm not jealous of her being in Tinkerbell and me being dressed as a old bald man. I literally chose this outfit. I dress up as our bar owner, saying funny. Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I feel like the costume bit is obviously the most silly part about all of this. I don't think it has any relevance, really, at all. And yeah, I mean, as we're watching Kat's video here, you can tell she just kind of finds the whole situation funny at this point, right?
Anyways, I thought it was funny. I'm living for it. Come into Haters next weekend, get a shot from me. I think her name was McKenna. You can come back. I will give you your gin and tonic. You don't have to tip me if that will make you feel better about the whole situation. I'm so sorry you had to wait so long for a drink for $3. that.
Now, obviously, we don't know for 100% fact, like, how the conversation really went, right? Without seeing the footage, there's no way we would know. And as we've seen, they clearly have some, like, different aspects to the story, but the overall story seems to be pretty similar. And at this point, the reaction to the videos is basically, like, Kat's getting a lot of support, McKenna's not really getting much support. And McKenna actually ends up taking the video down, but she has released a new, like, statement that we can read here. So it's a few different slides. The first one says, I want to take a second to clear a few things up before stepping back for a bit. When I shared my story, it wasn't to start drama. It was to talk about a genuinely bad experience and hold the establishment accountable. I waited over 15 minutes at the bar when people came and went with drinks. When I said, excuse me, the female bartender snapped that she was making her way down the line. All I said was, I know, I've been in the line. And with that, she told me she wouldn't serve me at all, waving me away, mocking me with a smile and bye-bye. I said fuck you after being disrespected, not before. I didn't name anyone, I only described a costume, and when I mentioned being cute on a night out, it wasn't to insult her. It was frustration and me trying to figure out why she was so angry at me for that simple interaction. I had a rare night off, dressed up and wanted to enjoy it, while she was clearly unhappy at work and took it out on me. What I didn't mention before is that the male bartender earlier in the night had already overcharged me after seeing I was paying with cash, then lied and claimed to be a manager when I asked for one. From what I've since learned, this bar already had a reputation for that kind of behaviour and service. I made my video to warn others about the bar's unprofessional service overall. Since posting, people have twisted every detail they could. Many didn't even have the story right, but still felt entitled to bully, harass and attack my appearance across multiple platforms. That's what mob mentality looks like, strangers turning someone into a villain for entertainment. And yes, I deleted the videos, not because I was wrong, but because I was tired. There's a difference between standing your ground and letting the internet drain your peace. I said what I said and I stand by it, but I don't need to see comments or DMs telling me to end my life over a video. Yeah, obviously, like, if people are actually saying stuff like that, that is way too far. I told my story truthfully and stood up for myself after being treated disrespectfully. If the internet needs a villain this week, fine, let them have one. I know who I am. If you came here to hate me, I hope you eventually find something better to do with that energy. If you came here to understand, now you do. And in the caption of this video, McKenna does actually go on further to say, I also didn't call her the C word or say F you to the bar back. That makes no sense. I said F you and I've admitted that from the beginning. People will believe what feeds their narrative best and go with it to make them feel better to spread hate among someone who's never done anything to them. She was out of line from the beginning, so I'm not surprised she spreads lies to feel better. So yeah, that's a situation. We've heard both sides of the story at this point. This most recent statement that we got from McKenna was just a day ago as I'm recording this. So I don't know if it's going to end up in another response from Kat. Maybe she shows the footage. A lot of people in the comments were saying that she should release it, but I don't know if she will. I don't know if she'd be allowed to either, like if the bar would let her. But yeah, like I mentioned before, there's no real way for us to know 100% how the conversation went, but from everything that we've heard and the similarities of the story, which I assume are true because they both said them, I would love to know your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts on McKenna's video, Kat's video, the response videos, the situation in general. Just let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'm going to leave it there. So if you did enjoy, please do leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.